Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where husband and wife team go over all the storytelling, world building, and characters of video games, because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yep, and this is episode 141.
Welcome to another fantastic episode where I have no idea what the heck we're covering, and Mystic still has a spiel.
Yep. Before we get into the episode, if you'd like to contact us, you can do it in many different ways. Instagram, Blue Sky, Mastodon, Reddit, YouTube, Steam, and Discord down in the description below. Or you can contact us via email at loretogether@gmail.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, and we hope you do, you can do that in two different ways. First is thumbs up, 5 stars, whatever it is, wherever you're listening. We appreciate it. Also, comments on Spotify are a new thing.
Yes, we hope the Dave DeViver episode was an interesting episode. Random commenter.
Yes. No, they have names on there.
Oh,
yeah.
Good.
Thank you, Castle, for commenting on the Dave DeDiver episode.
Yeah, thank you, Castle.
The other way to support us is through Patreon at patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per-episode pledge to get early access to episodes, exclusive access to some Let's Plays, exclusive access to my blind first hours, where I will play the game that we will be covering without knowing anything about it. Well, I usually know, a little bit.
You basically know the blurb that's on Steam. Or
Not even
equivalent.
that sometimes.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes it's just, that has a story-rich tag and looks intriguing. Bye.
Right.
So
we also have access to patrons. My debut sci-fi novel, Mother Revolution, which is a great story about how to practice allyship when there's so much for you to risk as well. And the answer is yes, you still practice allyship. But if you want to read about that in a sci-fi setting set in a far-off space colony, Mother Revolution is available to patrons at a $2 and up level as an EPUB. And there will be other goodies that'll come along as the time goes on when we actually have time. We are in Gen Con mode pretty soon. So,
yep.
This week, I don't know what's going on. So I thought I was going to cover the next episode.
Oh, I'm waiting for you to cover one, but that's okay. I got a few that I'm working on now.
Okay. I will give you a reprieve. Don't worry. It just wasn't as soon as I thought, because I thought I could tie it along, but it just...
It's all good.
Yeah.
So this is going to be right in Safi's wheelhouse here, and by that I mean not in your wheelhouse at all.
Okay, so we're either platforming or we're racing.
Driving.
Okay.
Driving features.
Okay, so yeah, this is going to be awful.
Driving, survival, crafting, exploration game.
This feels like a Need for Speed mod or
with
something.
With an alternate history.
Oh, jeez.
This is recommended by one of my friends, actually. I bought this without knowing anything about it going in, beyond the fact that it was driving and survival.
See, part of me wants to say it's that game that Penn and Teller developed that is so boring.
No, we are not doing Desert Bus.
Oh, if you guys don't know anything about Desert Bus... It
was also just a mini game. It was part of a collection of games. That was just, yeah. So
that one's the most infamous one.
We could do a episode on Desert Bus, but it would be like the speed running, quote unquote, of Desert Bus. It would not. It would be the Summoning Salt.
I was gonna say that's the Summoning Salt of Desert Bus. Okay.
Summoning Salt, great YouTuber about
speedrunning. We've mentioned him before,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. So
especially that Tetris one. Ooh.
Oh, I don't know if I remember watching that one.
I don't think you have. We have to do that.
Okay. All right. Date night. There we go.
It is like an hour and a half, too.
That is a date night. So, back to actually guessing this game. I want to say Cross Country USA because that was like the trucking game that we used to...
No.
I don't know.
You know what I'm going to tell you? You're not going to guess
yeah,
it. This is not your wheelhouse. This is Pacific Drive.
I feel like... No, I'm getting it mixed up with something else.
2024 game by Ironwood Studios, published by Kepler Interactive, who we will be hearing from again soon.
Oh, nice.
those of you who know are already probably guessing the correct answer.
I think I'm guessing the correct answer right now.
Anyway, while doing my blind first hour, I was sort of reminded of the game Control.
Control.
SCP, X-Files.
Oh!
Yeah, that type of genre.
That was the one, it had the redhead protagonist?
Yes. Jesse Faden, yes.
Yes, yeah. She took over and suddenly her portrait was where the other guys was and all that. Yeah. Gosh.
So I was reminded of Control with its weird government agencies and weird science and stuff.
Okay. That's more than weird science. That's eldritch horror genre. Like, let's not get that. Weird science, I feel like, is more... Oh, man. What was the game? There's another game long ago that we did. It also had a female protagonist who is the daughter of either daughter or granddaughter of an inventor of, like, a alternate reality space sort of situation. And I ended up not doing that live stream because little
Remember
buddy
Me,
was not... Yes.
Which is the second time we've talked about that in the past 4 episodes. We've mentioned Remember Me.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that for me feels more
both
weird
times
science.
you have forgotten what it's called, which is funny.
Oh, because I didn't do that live stream because little buddy was having a hard time going
That's
to
true.
sleep. But Remember Me feels more weird science, whereas Control is very much eldritch horror, a successor of the genre, somewhat started by H.P. Lovecraft and all that.
So this game starts with our player character, the driver.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any more than that, really. Being offloaded alongside their delivery van, actually inside their delivery van, on a dock in the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State from a ferry boat. Should note, the developer, Ironwood Studios, is in Seattle, so this is in their neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And
if they're in Seattle, Washington, and this is part of Portland, Oregon.
No, the Olympic Peninsula.
The Olympic Peninsula. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I misunderstood something there.
That's fine. But, in fact, the inspiration came from driving through the area, like, by the lead designer.
It's a seriously wooded area, if
Yeah.
I remember, yeah.
So, it's 1998, and we work for JS Express as a courier. The shipping manifest and order from this job appear to be redacted, but that could just be this isn't important, so...
Yeah. The Charlie Brown wah, 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 wah
Yeah.
kind of editing.
But in text.
But in text, yes.
Yeah. We're just given a few post-it notes to work with here, one with an address and another emphasizing stay on the roads.
Because if you've ever worked in an office, you always know the most important information ends up on a post-it
Yes.
note, no matter how hard you try.
Usually it's passwords.
Yeah.
We begin driving along the giant walls that mark the border of the Olympic Exclusion Zone, a massive walled-in part of the Olympic Peninsula that has encircled a massive part of the environment, built here by the government to contain something. We pass by signs about checkpoints and stuff. It begins to rain and then storm, and we're in the middle of nowhere. There is nobody around.
Oh, my gosh.
A roadblock forces us to detour onto a dirt road.
Okay.
So already we're already ignoring one of our post-it notes. The other one doesn't come into play as far as I know.
We're not getting to that address, are we? Okay.
Our van's not making it much further. Red vapors and strange tricks of light drift past us as we drive, and it almost sounds like they scurry away. It's really kind of
that's
trippy.
not cool.
Suddenly, all the lights go out on the road, and the car dies. And then a bright flash of light emits from the wall next to us, and we are basically pulled through a vortex into the exclusion zone.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
We come to with no vehicle around us. Like, we are no longer sitting in a vehicle. It's broken up and floating in pieces in the air all around us. Glowing yellow energy emanates from some rocks nearby, and things are, for lack of a better term, weird.
Yeah, just plain old weird, it seems like. Oh, my gosh.
Let's explain a bit more, because the game actually tells you more right before you get on the dock.
Mm-hmm.
In 1947, the Olympic Peninsula was the staging ground for a new technological breakthrough. It was a miraculous technology, but as stories of its amazing potential spread, so did stories of evacuations, unsolved disappearances, and other strange abnormalities. The government erected a wall in 1955, and over the following decades expanded it outward until it covered over 3,600 square miles, 9,300 square kilometers for any international listeners.
Thank you.
We begin to move around and eventually start to hear radio transmissions from somewhere up ahead. Eventually, we find a rundown, beat-up old 1980s station wagon.
Oh,
Kids, ask your
man.
parents.
Oh my gosh, the wood panels, it takes me back.
It's modeled off of a 1989 Buick, but in universe, it's a 1983 Radius Motors station wagon.
Okay, so a fake company. Yeah.
Fake company, but definitely modeled off of this Buick station wagon. Those radio transmissions that lead us to the car are from Tobias Barlow and Dr. Francis Cook. They are two former employees, a maintenance manager and research scientist, respectively, of ARDA, the Advanced Resonance Development Authority. We'll get back to ARDA in a moment.
So advanced resonance sounds like they're studying a constant sound of some sort. Or constant reverberation from some central point. That's what I immediately go to when you say that.
Yeah. Tobias and Francis are frankly shocked that there's a new breacher, and equally shocked that we have found a remnant.
Okay.
By the way, I think it's actually Tobias in the actual game when you hear it. Apologies, we know somebody who goes by Tobias, and it's just going to come out that way.
Yeah, we've been saying it like that for years now.
The car is a remnant, and that make you think we found just some leftover tech. And while that might be true, remnants also have some weird qualities. They almost form bonds with people who use them.
This sounds like, what is it, the SCP files?
Yes.
This is very much SCP files. Kids, ask, I don't know, are your parents cool enough to know the SCP files? So for those of you who may not know, because there are some people who are younger listening to this, it was essentially a forum to submit these stories as classified files on certain strange and sometimes violent yet otherworldly objects that were cataloged by SCP. I forget what SCP.
Secure, Contain, Protect, I believe.
Yes.
We've talked about them before because SCP and Control go very much hand in hand.
Yes, very much that same idea. SCP is kind of like it was very much an early aughts modernization of the idea of what is in the Eldritch horror genre.
I don't know if okay, fair.
By the way, government containment part of it in particular is very much like from the 80s to the early aughts, I feel like was part of that genre heavily.
Right. By the way, if you want to listen to our episode on Control, that's episode 65. Mm-hmm. And we'll be back to Control eventually because I do believe they're making a sequel. So
nice. But I say that when you say a remnant and it's a car, one of the things about SCP is that a lot of it would be unassuming items that would then do something very either dangerous or out of this world.
Yeah, I know there's the one SCP that it's just a fridge and it has to be observed 24/7.
Yes.
And the second that anyone takes their eyes off of it, it kills them.
Right. Violently too, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So it's remnants are, again, I was reminded about Control. So yeah, very much. I just wanted to mention that because SCP was a very interesting collaborative approach to storytelling. Yeah, it does. It just it doesn't hold the same.
No,
it doesn't hold the same mystique, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Francis and Tobias will try and help us get out of the zone and direct us to a garage to help repair our new car. Mm-hmm. At the garage, we'll quickly meet up with our fourth companion. I'm counting the car as one. You'll see why later. Dr. Ophelia Oppie Turner.
She goes by Oppie?
I think other people called her Oppie. None of these people are ever seen. Due to the instabilities of the exclusion zone, you really don't meet people. We just have radio comms with them.
So somebody has noticed that you breached, and that's when you got the chatter from Francis and Tobias.
Yeah. In fact,
Tobias, excuse me.
Yeah. In fact, there's this line of, hey, look how fast this breacher is going. How do you think they did they find a remnant? You know, it's like, yeah.
Oh, okay. And then you hear from, so her name is
Dr. Ophelia Turner, but we're going to sometimes call her Oppie. So
that Ophelia is such a beautiful name.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get to why, I think.
Okay.
Unless they actually do say this and I just missed it because I have not finished the game yet. But
Okay.
we're not going to delve into the story of the driver, like what we actually do during the game.
Okay.
We'll get into the history of this weird place, which honestly is most of what we do as the driver outside of the driving, survival, salvaging, crafting, and exploration parts, which aren't story.
No, that's
So-
gameplay.
Gameplay is fun.
Okay.
I find it fun. I'm going to play this again, definitely. So most of the information we do get is from in-universe radio, including a conspiracy theory like podcast or whatever,
Oh, really?
and written documentation, including faxes. But this is also a place that plays with reality
Oh.
because of the weirdness of everything. So take all of it with a grain of salt, but best I can tell, this is the canon.
Okay.
Dr. Ophelia Turner was born on the Olympic Peninsula
Okay.
in 1919, but eventually left the peninsula in order to pursue her love of physics.
Okay.
And she returns home at 27 in 1946 after allegedly failing to make a splash in the academic world.
She was a woman trying to succeed in the academic world in the 1940s, so give her
Right.
some slack. Give her some serious slack.
She then constructed a personal laboratory in the basement of her home. Shortly thereafter, she supposedly produced the first ever LIM wave, modulated radio waves, which are supposed to be able to control matter in a seemingly supernatural way. This is where I think Oppie comes from, likening her to Oppenheimer.
Oh.
Basically, she is someone who basically let the genie out of the bottle, open Pandora's box, let the cat out of the bag, open the can of worms, other such metaphors like that. Like, you get it.
Right. Yes. For I have become death, which P.S. it was Oppenheimer's personal translation of part of a Hindu text, so he might not have even been quoting it correctly, depending on who you talk to.
Right.
But yes, Oppie. So that's what. So it has nothing to do with her name, which makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because that would be more like Fifi or something like that.
After her discovery of LIM waves, Dr. Oppie, no, I'll go with Dr. Turner. Actually, I won't go with Dr. Turner. We'll see why in a second. Dr. Ophelia Turner and some of her friends spent 4 years testing new applications for the waves.
Oh, cool.
She officially founded the Society for Radio Reconstruction on September 16th, 1949, alongside Dr. Reginald Stanley Robinson and other academics. The group, having expanded its size and activity in the intervening years, eventually attracted attention from the U.S. Department of National Security by September of 1951.
Wow, that's a pretty quick progression for her to come back home, give up on the academics, but then gain so much notoriety.
Yeah. In 1955, the federal government, under President Lawrence Koch, took interest in LIM technology, quickly seizing not only the physical area where Dr. Turner scientists lived, but the entire concept of LIM technology. Basically, they're like, this is ours now.
That sounds like the U.S. government in the
Yeah.
1950s, honestly.
A new governmental branch is established, ARDA, which we already talked about. Dr. Turner is then ushered in as the head of research and development for ARDA.
Oh, good for her. For now, I guess.
Yeah.
Mystic gave me a look, and I'm like, oh.
A woman in a position of power at a government agency in the 50s.
You know, if she didn't have to go through the military to do it, bonus, honestly.
Fair. Francis began working at ARDA in October of 1960. He was assigned to a small team researching the use of LIM technology to power devices from a distance, which would be cool.
Yeah.
He first met Oppie the week of May 2nd, 1961, while working on technology to repair metal alloys from a distance, which also sounds cool.
This sounds unnecessarily like answering all the questions. You know, what if we use technology to repair metal from far away? Yay! What if we use technology to give everything power within a certain radius? Yay! Like,
Okay,
those are
but
huge things.
But start thinking about it. That tank has damage. Let's repair it without even having to go there.
To a distance, yeah.
Yeah, you know, that weapon can be fixed. And if you can fix something from a distance,
Yeah, you could shoot something from
you
a
could
distance.
destroy something from a distance.
There you go. Yeah.
For a period of time, Francis worked at the Red Meadow Research Facility alongside Oppie and met Tobias there.
Mm-hmm.
In 1961, we also have the mass hallucination incident. So let me explain. The zone is split into, well, zones.
Oh my gosh.
They're basically nested rings. They're not concentric or circular, but you have the original exclusion zone, which is now called the deep zone. The first expansion creates what is now called the mid zone, and then the final expansion creates the outer zone, which is where we get sucked into.
Okay.
Okay. And the further into the center you get, the crazier stuff gets.
Yeah. Yeah, this sounds pretty much in line with the genre.
Yeah. In 1961, two researchers, Dr. James Kay and Ophelia's husband, Dr. Alan Turner, were killed in a massive release of energy. That energy also had a strange effect, giving everyone in a 10-mile radius severe and disturbing hallucinations for a brief 30 seconds, though according to Francis, it didn't feel so brief.
Oh.
Yeah, he reported seeing disembodied arms, tons of them, grasping and crawling.
Oh, jeez.
Tobias, for what it's worth, was not as freaked out by his hallucination. He reported free falling through outer space and hearing the rings of Saturn sing.
Oh, that sounds cool. I would hear that.
Ophelia saw her husband bring her some coffee and then vanish, even though he was in a building miles away. We're just starting to get going here with weirdness.
I like that hers is just so mundane. Like, I like the idea of that. It's just the idea that Ophelia is so much the expert of it, is that it has become mundane, even though it is extraordinary.
Well, keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Francis is also one of the first to notice eventually the government's growing paranoia over the ARDA teams and the fact that their budget keeps getting cut.
Oh.
Yeah. Not helping things are Tobias's discovery of bubblegum buddies. There's a weird 1950s naming convention to some of this stuff.
Bubblegum buddies.
So these are little glowing orbs that are all over the zone and keep moving equipment and such. Like they just attach to it and move it, and
so it's like it feels like it's cute little faceless Kirby's just doing a chaos.
They do sound like that, but they're not.
Okay.
However, the main budget cuts and the paranoia and stuff might also be coming from Oppie, like her namesake. She's become distraught over Limtech being used as a weapon and has started to try to find ways to mitigate its effects.
Okay, so now they're pulling money away probably because she is making less of an argument for the uses that the government was hoping to have for it. Because you think about something that could give power for miles. Just think about this. You wouldn't have to pollute the earth. You could have whole neighborhoods generate all the power necessary with like a small little receptor box of the limb.
Yeah.
Or however it's constructed. I don't know even the pseudoscience, let alone the actual science related to it very well.
Right.
But that feels like a noble cause. But instead, she probably was told, "Hey, can you see if it'll repair this tank from miles away?" And then she's like, "Oh,
yeah,
like I get it now."
Through the logs we have from Francis and Tobias, we know about a lot of weird anomalies. For example, the airstrip. This was caused by a spill of gravity gel they were transporting, basically one of their weird little inventions. It reacted to the ground in the road, causing anything that gets on top of it, animals, our car, ourselves, to fly off into the atmosphere.
Oh, geez.
And this gel spread into the surrounding terrain, doing the same thing.
This feels like one of those items from Super Smash Brothers that like insta-kills you.
Or Portal.
Yeah, exactly.
I should mention there was a no-fly zone over the whole exclusion zone. Sorry.
Stop. That was wrong and you should feel bad.
There are a lot of anomalies. A non-exhaustive list would include the aforementioned bubblegum buddies and the airstrip. We also have the seemingly sentient mobile bombs.
Oh, what?
Like you can just pick up a crate and it turns into a bomb, so you have to like throw it. Yeah, just
God, that's so. No, wait.
The ruined cars that lay in wait, and then when you get close, they send out stuff that attracts enemies to you. Like a mimic almost.
Oh,
They're actually
jeez.
called honeypots, which is like a hacking reference.
Oh, I didn't know honeypot was a hacking reference.
So a honeypot is a system or a port that you have already guarded, but it's kind of open, and it, basically people will go in there and then just get stuck in the system, so you can track them back essentially.
Oh, because when I think of honeypot, I think about it in the terms of that was in the movie The Interview. No, basically the idea that somebody dates you and you think that they actually like you, but you're actually a means to an end.
I mean, it's not entirely different from what I just said in terms of hacking.
No, it really isn't. Honestly, there's a lot of parallels there.
So we also have the plastic mannequins that spawn from thin air,
What?
sometimes in groups.
You know what? I have to say, in a lot of this modern horror stuff, mannequins come
Yes.
up a lot.
Sometimes the mannequins are also fused together in grotesque shapes,
But it's a mannequin. Is it
like
really
a bunch of them, like fused into
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
now I could see that is definitely gross.
UFO constructs that fly around and pick up the car. Giant radioactive rocks dropping from thin air and skewering the ground. Like, we're talking the size of a semi-truck just
So wait,
slamming
does
into the
this
ground.
happen more and more the further in the center you go?
I mean, it happened to me within the first hour of my gameplay, and I didn't even get into the middle parts.
Well, this is a lot of what? I am. Oh my god.
Other rocks erupting from the ground, like those retractable bollards. In fact, they call them bollards. They're just giant cubes of rock that just,
just yeet you in the
Yeah,
middle of
pretty much.
nowhere. Ah.
The fan wiki has entries for over 50 different anomalies, and the vast majority are hazardous to us, our vehicle, or often both. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. But you found the one car that isn't trying to kill you.
There's more than that. I mean, you have to worry about your gas and everything, so you have to siphon gas from tanks and stuff. And,
So you have to go to enemy cars who then are like, look, Mystic is nodding gleefully. He's like, can't wait till you do it. No, that car's just going to
Okay.
run out of gas.
So I didn't run across most of what I just said
Yeah.
in my 1 hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm still scared.
I ran across the rocks falling and the bollards popping up.
Rocks fall and you die is a joke that is particularly
Oh, these also spread radiation as soon as they land.
in our era of TTRPGs when a DM
Rocks fall, everyone dies.
Yeah, the DM is frustrated with the group. It's just rocks fall, you all die. And you're like, what? Why? It's like, because we're not playing anymore. You suck. That's pretty much. It's pretty much that. I'm taking my toys and going home of D&D, but you literally are playing a game now where rocks fall and you may die. This is not. I don't like this. This is not. I mean, technically that's also thwomps in Super Mario, but this feels a little more unfair.
At some point, Francis theorizes that the zone phenomena left behind electromagnetic imprints that could be traced. He researched this phenomena for 8 years and invented the optical basilizer to prove his theory. With his funding running out, he started to forge experiment data to buy more time.
Oh, wow.
Ultimately, he was caught. Ophelia led the disciplinary committee against him for falsifying data and found him guilty. As penalty, the committee revoked his security clearance and assigned him to a different lab.
This was Francis, am I
Yes.
remembering this? Okay. Just want to make sure I was keeping up appropriately.
Around 1973, we have the Sirium disaster. Sierram. It's a town. Sirium.
Okay.
This is weird, by the way. So there's this town of Sirium in the outer zone. This is after the wall is built around the exclusion zone, so civilians lived in the exclusion zone, which just seems kind of crazy to me.
What is that town in Pennsylvania that still has...
Centralia. I don't think
Yes.
anyone lives there anymore.
It might officially not have any, but there are people who stayed for an extraordinary and
That's
long
true.
period of time, knowing that, for those of you who might not know Centralia, there was a whole forever burning coal mine underneath that is
Underground
going to...
mine fire.
That will be the Earth could lose all human inhabitants thanks to global warming in the next few generations, and that fire will still be going.
Yeah, contributing to it.
Right, exactly.
Burning coal.
Yeah.
On February 13th, 1973, the first ever Limb Fair was hosted in Sirium's town square.
Oh, wait.
They had a town square. It's
Okay.
a small little community. Arda advertised the fair as a good old-fashioned small-town get-together.
Oh, always trust the government's description of any event.
The fair,
Definitely.
The fair advertised the multiple uses of limb technology, especially in mundane household equipment such as washing machines or lawnmowers. Around dinner time, a catastrophic energy burst at the fair destroyed the town center, killing everyone that was currently in the town. The wilderness camp, some 20 miles away with a bunch of their kids, was evacuated safely, which is the only known survivors from this whole town.
Oh, jeez.
83
Oh,
families
no.
were ruined in this event. Either the parents are dead or everybody's dead. Like, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. This also birthed a massive anomaly known as Colossal Cappy, which is almost like a singularity. Multiple large objects, mostly train carriages, are suspended in a zero-gravity field with a bright red center core and an outer greenish ring around it. Like,
Train carriages of all the things. Oh, my
Yes.
gosh.
tests still continue because there's science to be done, and we made a neat gun. Wrong franchise.
No. I think you're actually right on point there. For all we know, that's the government's fault. No, I'm serious.
No, I get it.
Like, it's kind of like the ending of The Mist, the movie version. Specifically the movie version. The one that Stephen King says ended better than the book.
So, eventually, Arda runs out of funding, and everyone is ordered to evacuate. Francis packs up, but is talked into staying by Tobias. Should note, they are romantic partners. This is hinted at in the game and made concrete by a post by Ironwood Studios in celebration of Pride Month last year in 2024.
Oh, yay.
They stayed behind in the zone not only for science, but because their relationship wasn't exactly legal in the state yet.
So, if the only... This is such a weird commentary on queer culture. The only places they could freely love each other is also one of the most dangerous places on Earth at this time, in this universe, but also one of the most strangest, essentially. But then, like, I don't know, it just is a very interesting idea to think that one of the most illogical places is where you could find yourself being safe with the person you love. I mean, like, what does that say about, are you accepting that because society has called you strange, you have aligned with the strange? I don't know. There feels like there could be a deeper thing there. It could also be that nobody was really thinking about it that deeply just because.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we do follow one bad trope with this in the game. We're not going to get into it because we're not talking about the story
I
of the
can
game.
already predict what it is. Okay.
So, Oppie also stayed behind.
Yeah.
But given that this place is kind of her creation and life's work, that's not super surprising.
Her creation, her life's work, the reason her husband died, the reason she resents her work, too.
Yeah. As people were evacuating, she downloaded all of the data research.
Oh,
just
wow.
all that she could. And sometime between then and the beginning of the game, Ophelia discovers that the database she downloaded has logs for Dr. K using the Red Meadow Research Facility up through March 1963, despite his being recorded as dead when that
Anomaly
happened in 1961.
That took out her husband?
Yes.
That it caused her to hallucinate him giving her a cup of coffee and then
Yes.
going?
By the way, she had a cup of coffee that she didn't like. It was there. Like,
Oh, my God. Hey, wait. What?
like I said, reality gets weird in this place.
Like, you could get spiritual with it, too. It's be like, he just wanted to make sure that she was okay and she knew she could keep going.
Yeah.
Like
Like-
that, immediately, that's right, because I'm the hopeless romantic. I have to think of it that way. Oh, my God.
So in the game, we get a bunch of quests to try to tangle all the anomalies and interwoven history, but we never really get anything concrete to explain it all. And I'm not going to spoil the events of the game, but it's honestly not the best received ending.
Oh,
Because-
interesting. Is it unsatisfying?
It feels flat.
Okay.
Even if getting there is awesome, it feels flat. The ending it's not satisfactory because it's not what you set out to do at the beginning. If
it
that
has
makes sense.
nothing. It's not tied at all with what you're supposed to be doing.
Right. So but that said, there's nothing in this game like driving through the environment, trying to get to a gateway, because so this is more mission based. You're not going from point A to point B, from point B to point C. Like, you do a little bit, but you always get back to the same shop
Yeah.
through the weirdness of space-time here because of Limtech. So you have to get to a gateway to finish each excursion that you do. And so as you're trying to get to this gateway, it's ripping apart reality around you. Train is splitting apart, cars getting thrown around, and you're just barreling towards this glowing portal.
Yeah.
It's fun. But as for the car, here's why I counted it as a companion. It can develop personality quirks.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my God.
And they're kind of random, actually. You can repair the quirks, too. But you can get stuff like the gas refilling by itself when the lights are on, which drains the battery. Like, the door just opening and refusing to close. Tire just, boop, like, throws off. Like, yeah.
You need that. Why are you hurting yourself? This is like having a toddler. This is exactly like having a toddler.
All of this is to say, the game leaves us with more questions than answers in the end. Maybe it's there for a sequel. I could definitely see a sequel here.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. They have been adding more to the game as recently as April with the Endless Expeditions update, which added more faxes, logs, as well as traders to the game, as well as endless expeditions. Like, you can just keep going over and over and over forever.
Is that what they're doing to resolve the fact that their ending is not satisfactory? They're like, well, you could just keep going.
No, I think they may do something with the ending because it is one of those big things that everyone's like, the ending's not great, but everything else is awesome. You know?
Yeah, I always find it really frustrating when you're revved up and you really like it, and then the ending's just kind of like meh, you know, with not much to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For now, I'll let the backstory lie. And that's it.
I'm gonna scream so much driving through this crazy chaos.
Driving. Like,
Yeah.
Safi driving. This is not going to go well.
No, it's not. No. We should accept that this is going to be nothing but chaos and tears. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and there's obviously a lot more we can get into. This is one of those games that if you want to follow a thread, there's a lot of threads to follow, but not all of them go very far.
Right.
So there's tons of logs about all the different anomalies and all the podcasts about conspiracy theories. And yeah, so there's a lot of lore to dig into, but it's not all related to reality, or it's interesting, but I'm not going to sit here and read 50 entries on anomalies. Like,
Yeah. Wow.
but still, like, there's definitely stuff to chew on here.
There's stuff to chew on. There's interesting commentaries the thing that's interesting to me is like just some of the themes that come out with the story of Dr. Ophelia Turner.
Yeah.
And also the story of, Francis, and we've been saying Tobias the whole time. It's Tobias, I'm sure. But the story between two of them, I'm really curious if they wrote those themes in purposefully or if they were accidentally somewhat linked. Just the idea of like your love is deemed strange and it can only exist in a strange place.
Yeah.
Or also just the idea of Ophelia being a woman who basically had to be twice as good to succeed, and even then she still never gets the success that really would have satisfied her.
Yeah.
There's really interesting things that they could be saying, but I'm very curious if those were intentionally said or if they just happened to spring forth because of the context of the time this game was made.
Right.
Who knows? But that's just me doing my little like in-depth literary critique by accident.
So now you guys get to see Safi play through the first hour of Pacific Drive.
Woo-wee, we're gonna be in for a wild time with that one.
And then our other...
Wait. So time-wise, that's happening the Thursday after this airs to the public.
Yes.
So find us then. And then on alternate Thursdays, we do our live stream with Mass Effect 2, which Mystic will be posting a poll for patrons to vote on what we will be doing next, right?
Yes. I'm sorry. I realize that this is going out the same day that we would have to have that poll done. So no.
Oh. Okay. Well,
We'll figure it out.
Figure out 3 options. When we don't get our act together and have a poll, we do it in the live chat.
Yes.
So.
But we'd also have driving there too. We have to do the.
We have to finish Hammerhead.
The Hammerhead or whatever.
We have to finish Hammerhead, but there's another thing we'll have to do outside of Hammerhead.
Yes.
We got back with our Blue Bay, and it's all in the good. So check that out, and then the Tuesday after this comes out, the Tuesday after this comes out, I do my cozy live stream.
Yeah.
With Sims 4, which is getting more and more complicated with like.
Is it still
baby
cozy,
chasing
though?
alien Sims? Well, I mean, sometimes. Sometimes. I don't know, though. Like, it's a lot to manage. And, I mean, you know what? The reason we call it cozy is because since it's a Sims 4, you can do whatever you want. We're kind of just doing whatever we want. You know, we have a little half alien baby we've named Xanadu. So we're pretty excited for that.
I'm going to just let you have that. All right. We'll catch you guys around.
We'll catch you around. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.